Hi, my name's Parker. I'm inside my 2018 Jeep Wrangler JL, and I'm going to do a quick overview of the interior and some things that I like and some things that I don't like. I'm going to start with the things that I don't like because I think they are more so oversights than anything else. And the list is a lot shorter for the things I don't like, so we'll just start there. The first is going to be the cup holder. So the cup holder has what I think is, it's been described in a couple of ways. Right here, this has been described as a key holder, and it's also been described as a cell phone holder. Now, the problem is that I don't have a case on my cell phone, and this gap is pretty wide right here. So my phone will flap from side to side as I drive, and I have a metal coffee cup that I usually keep here. So every time I brake, the phone will ding up against, it makes a little ding as it hits the metal coffee cup. And it rocks back and forth. Now, I guess the width is a good thing because if you had a wider cell phone case, like an OtterBox or something, it would fit in here pretty comfortably. But for those of us that don't have a wide case, it is not a good fit, and it's shallow for some reason, and it's really inexplicable as to why they made this shallow. I mean, the cup holder goes far deeper, and for some reason they decided to make this the only part of the cup holder that is shorter. It's more shallow. So it's a really bizarre design choice in my mind. And I wish that they had just made it deeper so that regardless of what cell phone you had, you could tuck it in there or you could put the key in there. But I guess it is strictly just a key holder. So then it kind of segues into the next thing, which is like, where do I put my phone? Because I didn't know when I bought the car that a Uconnect will only have Apple CarPlay if you plug the phone in. If you don't plug the phone in, then the CarPlay doesn't work, and then you're just using a regular Bluetooth connection. So if you have to have it plugged in, and that is not a good cell phone holder, where do you put the phone? Well, that leads to the next spot. So the next viable option to put your phone is right here in this little like cubby beneath your windows and in front of your shift lever. The problem is that this, similar to the cup holder situation, this is too shallow to put a phone in here. It will hang out a little bit, and if you have a manual transmission like I do, when I shift into third gear or into first gear, I actually will bonk into the phone. It goes that far up, the shift lever goes that far up and the phone sticks that far out. So that's not a good spot. And also, this spot isn't wide enough. Like I thought maybe this is where you could keep your sunglasses, but it's too narrow to put my sunglasses in here, and I have just regular sunglasses. Another complaint that I have, speaking of sunglasses, there's no place to store them. So in my last car, I had, right up here, above the rear view mirror, I had a sunglasses holder that I could push like a button and it would fly open, and I'd tuck my sunglasses in there. Well, obviously because of the design of the Wrangler, you can't have that here. So then the question is like, where do you store your sunglasses? So the only other spot to put your sunglasses would be like the center console here. So if I open up the center console, there's another kind of conflict here, right? Which is that this side of the center console, give me just a second here to pan over, right? So the top part right here, the top part is too shallow, again, to put the sunglasses. Like, I could put them in here, but I actually run the risk of bending them or warping them by closing the top portion here of the sunglasses, or of the center console. So if I put the sunglasses here and close this, I could bend them or warp them. And so the only other option is you open up the larger compartment, and this place is, you know, this thing is gigantic. And if you put your sunglasses in there, they're not easily accessible. It's easy to dig around in here and try to find something. And, you know, I've put other things in there, so it kind of becomes almost like a junk drawer in that sense. So I don't really prefer that for my sunglasses. So what I've defaulted to doing, just for lack of a better option for sunglasses and for cell phone, is I end up keeping my sunglasses right here in this little like rubberized area on the top of the center dash. And then I end up putting my cell phone just in the cup holder like I always have. You know, it's less than ideal. I don't want to put my cell phone in here. But, you know, if I'm going to be using the Apple CarPlay, and if I want easy access to my sunglasses without having to take my eyes off the road, that's really the only option that I have. Aside from that, aside from the storage issues, which I guess are kind of a given within a Wrangler. You kind of have to accept that when you buy this car, it's not going to be a minivan. There's not a ton of cup holders. There's not a ton of places to put your sunglasses. You put that aside. Everything else about the interior of this car is great. I decided to go with the black leather interior, and so you can see I have the nice Sahara logo that's, you know, embossed on the leather on the front seats, and the back seats are really comfortable as well. There's plenty of room for my son's car seat in the back, and then everything about the way the car drives, the way the car handles, all of the control features in the dash, everything else is just flawless. I got my Sahara in a manual transmission, and I can say unequivocally, I've driven nothing but manual transmission since I was 18 years old. This is by far the best manual transmission I've ever used. Compared to other cars, like, this just doesn't travel. The neutral does not travel as far. In my old Xterra, you know, I could really wiggle this thing from side to side. In the Jeep, it's a really short throw, and then when you get into gear, so right now I'll go into first, I mean, it's locked in there. There is zero wiggle room on this. It's almost like a video game, like, or you know what's a better way to put it is, it's like a light switch, right? Like, there's either an on position or an off position. So here's your neutral, you know you're in neutral, but when you're in first, bang, it is right in there. The same thing with, you know, third and with fourth and with second, every other gear. The going in reverse is kind of fun. You've got this red pull-up right here, right? So you have to kind of put your fingers underneath it, pull it up, and then you just go into the far left and forward position, and now you're in reverse. And when you do that, of course, that's going to activate the new rear view camera, which is gorgeous. I've never had a rear view camera in a car before. It's unbelievable how crystal clear this thing is. And when you turn the wheels and everything, obviously these alignment lines will line up with your parking space as you're pulling in somewhere. So really a cool new feature that they've added into the Jeep, and something that it's the first time that I've experienced it at all. So really love that. The infotainment center, I love the Apple CarPlay when my phone is plugged in, but I also just love, like, everything else about it. I don't so much use the satellite radio just because I prefer my phone and podcasts, but everything from the GPS, which I don't know if you could tell, but the GPS icon is actually like a little Jeep, which is kind of fun. Everything within there is really intuitive. The only problem I've had is, and I know a lot of people have spoken about this before in the past, is that the backup camera at times has not worked for me. And what I learned is that if the lens is dirty, like really dirty, and we had a lot of road salt on the ground here recently, if the lens is dirty, then the backup camera does not turn on. The only other thing that's taken a little bit of time getting used to is the windows being at the center of the car and not on the door handle. Again, that's a very, like, typical Jeep thing, so I'm not so worried about that being a problem in the long term, but it was something that took a little bit getting used to. The center dash is great. What I really like about the center dash is that everything is programmable. So all the things like what you have in the corners here, your time in the center, your speed, your speedometer, which that's what I have right here, your miles traveled, all of that is customizable, so you can put only the information that's pertinent to you right there. And then you can also use some of the fun screens that are available, like I know that there are some of the, here we go, vehicle info, hold on here, let me find out, off-road. So this is where you get that Clinometer that's built in, which is really fun. And you know, I've put that on while driving, and it's kind of boring when you're just driving on a road, but I'm sure that, you know, at some point when I take it up to Roush Creek, that's going to be a really fun thing to keep my eye on. The last thing to really point out is the four-wheel drive, the Select Track four-wheel drive. Yeah, so the four-wheel drive, I was kind of nervous about this because I've never actually had this setup before where there's two knobs next to each other. And I was almost nervous when I was buying the car that at some point I might accidentally grab this and, you know, try to be shifting in traffic and struggling to do so. One, the distance height between the regular shifter and the four-wheel drive Select Track is dramatic, and so you will never accidentally, when your hand is on this shift knob, it feels natural. It's at a good height for your elbow. If you're resting it on the center console here, so it's at a good height for your elbow, so I would never consider actually reaching this far down to grab here. But even if you did, putting this thing into four-wheel high or into four-wheel low in particular, it is a concerted effort. I mean, I really have to, like, I'll do it right now. Ugh. Like, that's not like a dramatic grunt. That is literally like to push this thing into four-wheel high. I mean, I'm like really pulling right now. I can't. There we go. There it is. And then for four-wheel low, you just move it over to the right and then pull again, and now you're in four-wheel low. So it does take a lot of effort. Ugh, sorry, I'm trying to do this now. Okay. Come on, there we go. So now I'm back into two-wheel drive. It is a little bit difficult to use, but I almost prefer that because I don't want to ever accidentally throw it into four-wheel low when I'm intending to go into high, and I also don't want it to pop out of four-wheel low if I'm doing some off-road driving, which I would imagine that just the firmness of these shift knobs means that they won't rattle if you're driving off-road, which is a really nice feature in my mind, and compared to my old Nissan Pro 4X, it'll be a welcomed quiet change to the car going forward. So here's something interesting. The car did come with some snap straps here, or tie-down straps, and I've heard some people say that they think these are for the windshield, but I think they might actually be for the back window. I know that when you can lower the windshield down, and there appears to be some soft handles on there that you could theoretically tie the windshield down to, but I think it's for the back window. So I've never actually looked, and I'm gonna go back there now and see if there's a way that you can roll up the windows on the JL in the same way you could with the JK. All right, so I'm gonna approach the back window here. An interesting note about the back window is, believe it or not, sorry, I'm trying to do this one-handed, this whole piece right here, this whole thing slides out. So I don't know if that's a function of the windows being able to roll up, but it does come out, so we'll see. Now, once again, we're looking for the snaps, the snap locations on the inside here. And you know what? I think I see it. Let's take a look here. There. Look at that. There's the snap location. Right up there. So that would, I mean, theoretically, that means the windows would roll up. But here's the thing, right? So if I look at the sides of the windows here, I mean, this is pretty rigid. Like, I mean, I can't bend that too much. So I don't know if that is in fact a viable way to put the windshield up. I mean, I can't figure out what else that would be for, because if these don't, well, unless there's a way to remove these from here, I don't think there is. No. So like, I can't see this as rolling effectively. But once again, yeah, this whole piece right here, this slides out. So I took it out the other day. You can see, like, it's got that same sliding technology to it that the top has. So I don't know. I don't know what those snaps are for. I'll have to figure that out. All right, another question I had was whether or not, so I did go with the upgraded infotainment center, which I can show you real quick. Right here, that comes with the upgraded infotainment center and the upgraded speakers, the Alpine speakers. And I was curious as to whether or not there was still storage under here, because I heard some people say that the storage that came in the cargo area was negated if you had the upgraded stereo, and that is not true. I still have it, and I have a place for my jumper cables and my shoes that I am not afraid to get muddy. So obviously that is still there, and I still have the tie downs. The tie-down locations, which other people had said that would not be available if you went with the upgraded package, so just confirming that that is available. All right, so that wraps up my first video kind of outlining some of the early features that I've noticed about the car since I got my Wrangler JL. If you have any specific questions, or if there's anything that you've wanted to know about a JL either before purchasing or since purchasing and you'd like me to make a quick video about it, just shoot me an inbox message. I'll be more than happy to handle that for you, and hope everybody is enjoying their Wranglers out there and keep Jeeping, and so happy to be a part of this community, and hopefully I can help people in the way that others helped me when I was buying. Take care.